Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Mema wakwaba e de ba PENDREAM TV so make sure say obe subscribe to channel no click bell so say the news to our sabit me aka ntem no watie afa so make sure say obe like na wa comment no share ama afoforo so nsaka na comment section ho so no opese wo kire wa adwen obetimi e de wa adwen kire ato honom na amanfo so anya bia kenkan na onim say PENDREAM TV de eye nsem a ekoso Ghana yam politics mu ne de ba na yasaka ya ne de abranti na so me video I saka pese no che na ye de ba nti me mo modern astro so obehwe video we amana si awie na wa kire wa adwen e comment section na se yenko video.
Remember that when we came up with the Green Book, President Akufo-Addo said that it was full of fantasies. At least there was no project in the Green Book that was labeled as 0% in the Green Book. No project. Most of the projects that were listed in the Green Book were completed, commissioned projects that had been undertaken by the NDC government. If you check the Pond Water Project, the Teshi Desalination Project, such a huge project, you know. If you check the 3K, the Kumau, Konongo, Kwahu Water Project, these were huge projects. On the contrary, if you go on this tracker, you would find boreholes, you know, mundane district level projects that some have been undertaken by the levies collected, the internally generated funds of the district. All of these projects have been loaded onto the tracker. So, for me...
because I think at some point of the tracker, it also breaks down what has been achieved by ministers. I'm sure there should be a part where it tells you what has been done by local assembly, maybe. I don't know. But it also gives you achievements of ministers.
So you see, when you talk about, in governance, generally, when you talk about the achievement of government as the executive, people want to see very significant, huge projects that makes impact in the lives of the people. If we want to be labeling projects that are done at the district level with internally generated funds, I mean, we must be serious.
When you say internally generated funds, how do you mean? Because some of the projects,
if you go to a district,
the level of beneficiary is very subjective.
Let's say the Nungwa district, where they collect tools from the market.
Yeah.
These tools from the market, and then they use it to construct a borehole for a community. Then Kojo Opon Kroma carries a camera to go and take a picture of it and load it onto the track and say, this is government achievement. We must be serious. I mean, this must be... And for me, it's... If you study if you watch the interview of the Ashanti regional minister, when he was asked to mention 10 significant projects in Ashanti region, the first project he mentioned was a project done by the Rebecca Foundation. Rebecca Foundation. That project was led by the media. I remember, I think multimedia led in raising funds from all of us to go and construct that maternity block. And as a minister for 7 to 8 years, when you are asked to mention huge or significant government projects, the first project that comes in mind is a project undertaken by a foundation, an NGO. Madam Lordina Mahama, the wife of former President Mahama, has been constructing a lot of health facilities. Recently, she opened one in the Boli district. You won't find that in an NDC list of achievement.
Why?
Because we are dealing with serious projects. When we say that
I think you added too.
When we say that we have done well, we mean to say that the taxes we collected from the people, the loans we contracted, the revenues we got from our oil production, the grants that were given to us by multilaterals or other international organizations, put all of them together, this is what we have been able to achieve. And so we tell you that we took a loan facility of $100 million to construct the first phase of Nkrumah interchange. Then you know that monies have been put to use. If we tell you that some of the loans we contracted were for the Pokuasi interchange, for the Obechebi Lamte interchange, and for the Tema motorway expansion project, then you would know that we actually borrowed, we actually raised revenue in order to undertake all of these projects. So that is what we want to see. And we will measure this government by the amount of money, revenues that they have received over the 8-year period. And that's unprecedented. No government come close to Nana Akufo-Addo. He's been the luckiest president ever in terms of revenue generation. It was his time that COVID alone gave him over 21 billion Ghana cedis. And we cannot tell what we have used those monies for. It is his time that our debt profile has increased from 120 billion to over 600 billion, an addition of close to 500 billion Ghana cedis. And President Akufo-Addo cannot tell us major significant projects that has made impact in the economy. If we constructed the Terminal 3 project, which is by far one of the best terminals on the continent, if we took loan from China to construct the gas processing plant in Atwabo, which has created employment, which is saving Ghana a lot of foreign exchange that we would have used to import gas into this country, then you would notice that, look, we have really invested these funds. If you go and check on the tracker and point on factories, you know, they have various headings. If you check on the factories, you would notice that all of the factories, I don't know a single one, that is fully 100% government-funded factory. I can't point to one.
Primarily
private sector factories, some of whom had already constructed their factories, they were working, they needed monies for expansion.
But government already,
some of them, government only.
The one district, one factory policy is supposed to be a PPP agreement.
It doesn't matter the objective.
So if it reports
you see,
on some of the factories that are private sector factories, and then it has been able to revive or support it to revive. I mean,
so you cannot tell us that. You cannot tell us that the 500 billion you have added to our debt portfolio, you can't point to us one factory built by government.
Okay.
And if less than 120 billion, NDC can point to the Atwabo gas processing factory. NDC can point to the Commander Sugar factory. NDC can point to the Share Butter factory in the Savannah region. So it's not just about the objective. It's about what you have used the money to achieve. That is what we want to really see as your performance. But generally, I would say that how would this performance tracker deal with Dumso? So, for example, if you want to go on the performance tracker, this morning,
I haven't seen anything on energy.
You woke up, there's energy there. You can see that they said they have increased access to electricity from 81% to 86 or so, just 5% within 8 years. If you check the rates, you would find that per annum they were doing 0.8, while the NDC was doing 3%. From 2009 to 2016, when we left office, we had increased our access to electricity from below 60% to 80%. And if you break it down, you find that we're doing an annual rate of 3%. So even with what you have reported, you would see that the NDC has a superior record. But check on the tracker. You are an Alaji. You are Amaria. you want to go for Eid prayers this morning. You woke up, your light is off. You can't iron your jalabia to go. And then they tell you to go and check the tracker. What would that tracker do for you? And you check the tracker, you cannot see any performance of the NPP in terms of energy. No serious indicator to even tell you what they have done in terms of our energy sector. They have not added a single megawatt of electricity generation to our installed capacity as we have. They have not done. They have used ESLA to go for a loan and collateralize it for more than 15 years. They can't have money to pay for fuel for our thermal plants. So what's the performance about?
So I'm on the Ministry of Energy, and I think the first interface, well, I went to the
performance tracker.
Performance tracker ministries. Then I clicked on the Ministry of Energy. The first page of the Ministry of Energy performance tracker is clean environment. So government is, advancing on the clean environment policy. And what I see is distribution of improved cooked stoves. That is 97,253. Improved charcoal cooked stove distributed for clean cooking since 2018.
You see,
what's that? Is that something that you were also doing?
Of course, under the NDC. You know about energy conservation and how to move away and deal with climate change. Yes. I mean, districts were given stove and gas cylinders to...
So this policy is decentralized?
Of course, it goes to the district.
To the district.
And so it's not a new policy by the NPP government.
And you did that?
Yes. Yes.
But it's not in the Green Book.
Of course, that's why I'm saying that the Green Book is dealing with serious, significant projects. The districts are also mandated to talk about their achievements.
Because this is very new to me.
Oh, yes, okay, of course. Because we were interested in dealing with, I mean, if you want to account for the monies you have, you cannot do that extensively. And so what you really do is to concentrate on projects that can reflect the amount of money that you have collected from the people. But on the point that I was making, this performance tracker cannot deal with unemployment. Ghanaians want jobs. People are crying that they cannot get jobs to do. How is this performance tracker able to deal with it? The number of people who are falling below the poverty line in the country today, how is this performance tracker going to deal with it? How is this performance tracker going to reduce the e-levy tax or even abolish it? Okay. How is it going to remove the betting tax and allow boys to have their own space and enjoy the benefits they have from betting? So this performance tracker is not dealing with any problems, any of the problems that we have currently. And so for me, we should put the performance tracker aside and go back to the basics. Government must address the problems that faces this country. They cannot run away from it. President Akufo-Addo and Mahamudu Bawumia cannot postpone their responsibilities and tell us that even though you are paying for e-levy today, when you vote for us in 2025, we are going to scrap it. Scrap it now. We want to see a tracker that deals with removing taxes, a tracker that deals with creating employment for people to do, a tracker that will give us a solution to the businesses that have collapsed and those that are on their way collapsing. That is what we want to see. And that is what is going to be the basis for Ghanaians to vote. We are not going to be hoodwinked by these creation of digital platforms, populate it with non-existent projects and write projects that are 0%, even on all of on these digital platforms.
Right.
So the bottom line is that we are going into an election. We are going to measure you on how much you have received and what you have used the monies for. We are going to measure you on the number of businesses that have been collapsing, those that have collapsed, the poverty in this country, the corruption, the unemployment. These are the issues that are going to drive the minds of the people.
Right.
Against the very fantastic ideas that President Mahama is bringing up. For example, the 24-hour economic policy that is going to address the issues of job. Because if we have a three-shift system where people can work in the morning, can work in the afternoon or during the day, and can work over the night, as Gov't has endorsed it, TUC has endorsed it, that is what is going to address the unemployment issue. And that is what Ghanaians are going to base on to vote. And many of the polls that have come point to that direction, that Ghanaians have accepted the 24-hour economic policy compared to any other that has been espoused by any of the presidential candidates.